Thanks, everybody. Welcome to Build. I'm your host, Ricky Kemley. Our next guests are three of the stars of the upcoming basketball drama, The Way Back, starring Ben Affleck as a broken-down alcoholic seeking possible redemption through coaching a high school basketball team. Joining me right now are three of the members of that fictional team. We have Brandon Wilson, Will Ropp, and Charles Lott. Let's hear it, everybody. Hey. Guys, thank you so much for being here. Before I even get to the questions, let me just say congratulations on the film. I caught it last week.
Thanks, man.
It's beautiful. It's another great outing by Gavin O'Connor, who I think is one of our great sort of sports tellers. And one of the things that he does that is so wonderful is that he makes what is usually something that is kind of histrionic and cliche, subtle and beautiful, and he strips all of the performances down. And I'm wondering if it felt that way on set with him, where you would be doing a scene where you felt like you maybe had to go bigger or had to sort of celebrate or cry or emote in a big way, and he pulled you back a little bit. Can you guys talk about that?
Yeah. I think something that's really important to Gavin is just honesty in performances and just in his films in general. He's really about authenticity and just about playing it real and naturalist, right? And so there were times where I feel like there would be some setups where he would kind of like look at the monitor and he would be like, "That's not our movie. Like, I don't want to do that." And which I thought was really admirable. I'm like, he's willing to put his foot down and be like, you know, for the sake of the art of the movie, right? So it's something that I really admire.
Even with your character, right, who at certain points gets to be kind of a punchline and has a running joke through the movie that I think you would find in other sports movies, but there is something about the way that he has you play it, the way that he cuts to and away from it, that makes it feel just a little more real and authentic.
Yeah. It would be easy to kind of play into the humor and make it like a shtick, but he was good at just kind of like paring it back and just letting it be honest and natural. For sure.
And Brandon, what about you in some of your scenes with Ben? You're sort of the teammate who gets kind of the closest to Ben off court.
Yeah. A lot of those I don't know, those were easy to play natural. Yeah, he definitely didn't want to push for anything. He wasn't trying to tell anybody anything. He wasn't trying to tell you how to feel at any time. It was just, he just wanted to kind of just capture this moment, and he really didn't like tell us much even while we were doing it. He just let us keep going and just seeing what different things we could find with it, but while staying natural.
Even one of your biggest emotional moments in the movie, where you're being pushed by Ben's character, we see you at your breaking point from extremely far away. It's not like a close-up or a slow motion thing. It's from the back of the court. You lose it and then walk off. So he's even kind of stripping down your performance in that way as well.
Yeah, I didn't know how he was
for a close up there. You were like, "Come on, I was great. What's that about?"
That was one where like that wasn't in the script. And that day he was like, "All right, we're gonna do this, but I need you to be like, we're getting you to like peak frustration. Like this is gonna be a breaking point. We're gonna do this." So like I kept carrying that like while we kept doing this scene over and over again, and it wasn't even close. So I was just building this up and just kept going for no reason. But because then like when we were done with like the final take. Yeah, I had to go outside and kind of let some different things out because we just kept holding on to that for a while.
Let some different things out, like you were still frustrated.
Oh, yeah.
Needed to go for a little run or
I had to go for a little cry.
Yeah. That happens, right? Charles, your character's nickname is Chubbs, right? Yep. Which, again, this is like something that I think you would find in a sports script, but he has a way of making your character feel real and authentic and not just that one joke or that one beat. What sort of conversations did you have with them about this character?
Yeah, he was very easygoing. When I first signed on to the project, I was very nervous, because you look at even on TV, when they show directors, they make these directors like there's big, loud, and everything is big, and play it big, in these big scenes, emotional scenes or comedic scenes. But he was just so easy to work with and kept everything so simple. And he makes everything feel so real. So, when I first started dancing, I was trying to do the super huge, over-the-top stuff. And he was like, you could be over the top, but make sure you're keeping it real, you know what I mean? And make it seem believable, like you're really hyping these guys up. And yeah, I don't know. He was just so easy to work with, man. It was just like no pressure at all. And like some of the dance moves I was pulling, I remember it was like the typical cliche urban hip hop dance moves. I remember these dudes pulled me to the side and was like, man, this is 2018. This movie's coming out in 2020. We don't know if those same dance moves is going to be popping by then.
Were you like doing the Running Man or something?
Oh,
What
no,
were you-
like I was trying to dab. And so I was like, I don't know.
Floss.
Yeah, I don't know what that is, but
I guess the
yeah,
Running Man is kind of like iconic and classic.
yeah.
Whereas dab is like, it's going to come and go.
come and go.
Yeah.
Exactly. So they were saying like keep some of the typical cliche dances, but you gotta add some of your own flavor and your own stuff in there that'll, kind of show like that is you,
Is that where that kind of like where this?
Yeah, man, the whole like that thing that was made up. I remember Will, he was like telling me to like do this thing and then like do a
remember
spin
that.
and do the Michael Jackson tippy toes. I was like, no.
You wanted to twerk at one point.
No,
True,
no,
that
no.
is
Hold
true.
on, wait a minute. No, I didn't. They were talking about doing.
Wanted to twerk.
No, please don't do that. No, because
That's something that you find normally in life, that you look for reasons or places to twerk on a regular
twerk?
basis, or
I do
no, because we were talking about making stuff. I know we were talking about making stuff more memorable, and Melvin was like, "If you want to be memorable, like twerk, like that'll work." And I was like, I want to be memorable, but not for those reasons. So yeah, no, I didn't want to twerk. It was suggested. Everybody was telling me to do it too, and I was like, no.
and you never did it. There's no take on the cutting room floor of you
Oh,
twerking.
no, zero. I do that like when I get out the shower listening to music, but in public, no, I don't do it.
Wow, it's on the record.
Will, talk about the character that you play. What's his name and what's his deal within the team?
Yeah, so Kenny Dawes, he's kind of at points the comedic relief of the film. He's a little bit of a playa. He's I don't want to spoil too much, but he's got a few things going on with a few different people and
Some ladies.
some ladies, yes. And I think he's not doing it maliciously. I think he just like wants to spread the love, and he doesn't know that his actions are eventually going to have consequences. And Ben, eventually by the end of the movie, kind of like shows him how to be a better person, and he becomes a better man because of that. But yeah, he's definitely. I think that tragedy can only be at its greatest when it's on the the borderline of comedy. Like when there's great tragedy, there has to be great comedy to kind of show the contrast. And I think my role helps do that.
Brandon, what about your character?
My character's quiet. He doesn't say much. Like he's at a very, I don't want to say low point, but he's very content with just being invisible. He's very content with just kind of skating by. He loves basketball, but he's not comfortable or confident or supported to feel like he can love this thing loudly. Yeah, so there were some similarities with me and my character and some things that translated well.
Are you quiet? Are you a quiet guy? Shy guy?
Yes.
I wouldn't say I'm a shy guy. I can be quiet though. I can go for long stretches of time without saying a word. It's for different reasons though than like what it was for my character and what it was for me back then. But yeah, his goes through this journey of being able to trust himself and find his voice again and get support. And
What was it like doing those scenes with Ben?
generous. Yeah, very generous. He was always giving, like whether it was on him or if it was on me, he was always giving. Every moment he was constantly present with me there and didn't ever feel like he drifted off. Between scenes, he was still here. Yeah, it's weird. At that point, we had already filmed mostly everything else, so it didn't feel like I was doing a scene with Ben Affleck anymore. It was just, and he never made me feel like he was superior. Like it was just two people just.
Oh,
in
those
a
scenes
car
in the
together.
truck were essentially basically at the end of the shoot.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And at that point, you were friends, or you'd known each other a little bit.
Yeah, we were cool. Yeah. Yeah.
What about for you guys? What was it like working with Ben Affleck?
He kind of has like this intimidation factor when you first meet him because he's just so large. He's a big.
Especially in this movie.
In this movie too, he's big.
He's gigantic.
He's huge. And then when you stack the accomplishments on top of the stature, it's like whoa. But Yeah, he was super cool. The first time I met him, we had our first scene together when he introduces himself as the coach. And this was the first time I was able to like speak. I had my starting to speak. We were 3 weeks in. And every time I got ready to say my lines, it would get cut off by him. He would start his lines and start speaking. So I'll be like, and I'll have to sit back and be like, oh, okay. So he did it once. So I was like, I'm gonna let him slide. I'm gonna cut him some slack. And then he did it he did like 1 or 2 more times, and I was like, oh, hell no. So I went and talked with Melvin, and I was like, hey, man, I'm about to go over and, like, tell Ben Affleck off. And everybody was like, no, like, don't do that. Are you crazy? Like, don't talk. So I'm like, you know what, forget y'all. I walked
I would have been the one guy being like, yeah, go ahead, do that. Like, I want to,
yeah,
this is going to be amazing.
Yeah, I went over there, and I, like, hit him. I was like, hey. And I was like, and he looked up at me, and then I saw how big he was. I was like, oh, man, why did I do this? But, yeah, I told him, like, hey, like, don't step on my lines, man, like, period. And everybody, and I forgot I was mic'd up, so everybody heard me, and everybody was like, what is wrong with this kid? And everybody was kind of mad. I was like, you don't talk to Ben Affleck that way.
What did Ben Affleck say?
He cut me off again. He was like, when I was in the middle of talking, I'm like, here's my lines, and this what you, and then he was like, yep, okay, fine, I'll go talk to the script. I'm like, they just did it again? And so, everybody was mad, and then we had our scene again. And then he came up to me, and he was just like, I don't know who you are, but, you know, respect. I respect it. And then me and him got really close. And if I knew what I knew now then, I would have done it, because that...
But it sounds like he respected you because of it.
He did, yeah. He after that, we had got super close. I started asking him hundreds of questions a day, and I was getting on his nerves, and... you know, I mean, when you got Ben Affleck, which you gotta take advantage of some of the things that you want to be able to learn. And it was kind of cool because we would ask him all these questions, and we would ask him questions, and he was so cool about it. He had no problem answering anything, you know what I mean? So that's how I was working with him. And I thought it was gonna be a lot of pressure and it was gonna be hard, but this movie was just so easy to shoot. Everybody was just so nice. So I had a great time shooting this thing.
Mm-hmm. Will, what about you?
Yeah, the first time I saw Ben, it was like the final scrimmage. Audition scrimmage, where it was basically like 5-on-5, full court basketball, and we didn't even have the roles yet. And I remember
Audition scrimmage. So this part of your audition was scrimmaging with each other.
Yeah,
so
basically they wanted to know, like, can you guys play basketball for real? Like, we had sent tapes in of us playing, but they wanted to see, like, in person, like 5-on-5. And I think it was like towards the end, I remember seeing like a back door open and this like guy with like a hoodie. And he was like he was like hiding, with a whole posse.
True.
And he sat in the bleachers and he just like was huddled over. And I was like, that's got to be Ben Affleck. He's way too big to be a normal person. Like, that's got to be Ben. And it was. And eventually at the end of the scrimmage, like they told us then that we had gotten the roles. Gavin told all of us individually, and he was like, all right, meet your coach. And Ben came up to the center of the court and was like, hey, I'm Ben Affleck. I was like, yep, we know who you are.
Now that I look at it, though, now that I'm thinking about it, we kind of did low-key have the roles, because when we did the 5-on-5, all the dudes that was in the movie was all on the same team.
We were strategically
all on the same team. He was trying to see how we work and play together.
Yeah, I airballed 2 threes in that. And that's the only thing I have to do in the movie is shoot 3-pointers. And I airballed both shots I took in the scrimmage.
Do you airball a 3 in the movie, too, or no?
That's Melvin.
No, that's Melvin. Melvin, like,
okay.
Yeah,
he was chucking
throws
up.
one off the backboard.
Right, yeah.
No, I drilled him.
You drilled him.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
He hit a
constantly
few.
hitting 3.
I think I shoot 100% in the movie. Oh, that's a spoiler.
I didn't you miss. No, I was gonna say actually, Mo, I remember when we was doing the scrimmage, nobody passed me the ball because they look at me and it's like, this dude, no. So Melvin shot the ball, and I remember the ball came to me, and I was so happy. I'm like, I'm about to nail this.
Dunk on someone.
Yeah, and the ball came straight to me, and I remember it was 2 dudes, and I was like thinking Kobe was in my mind the whole time. Like, I'm about to be like Kobe. I had 2 dudes on me, and I shot it, and Gianni came and hawked it right over me.
Oh, yeah.
And I fell to the ground, and Gavin had to call a timeout. He was like, timeout. He was like, come here. And I was like, oh, man. And he was like, he grabbed my face. He was just like, don't shoot the ball. Don't shoot. As soon as you get it, just pass it. Don't shoot it. Don't look like a fool. Oh, my God.
Yeah. A lot of the players we were playing were like real college experience and stuff.
So the 5 of you, the actors who are essentially cast in the movie, were playing people who were not, they knew weren't going to get cast in the movie. They weren't like other actors auditioning.
Some of them.
I think some of them were, but I think a lot of them ended up being players that we played against in the movie at other high schools. And a lot of the times they were a lot better than us. So like I remember the first game we played at a high school, we were playing this fake team of 5 players, and they were playing real defense. And I started getting so angry. I was like, these guys are playing real defense. We can't get a shot off. I'm like, it's a movie. Like, let me get...
You were supposed to lose. Like, why are you know what I mean? They were supposed to lose in the movie against us.
I don't
we were
think
supposed
we
to
lost.
finally beat them, and they were, like, killing us.
No, that's the
dunking
game
on
that
us.
you don't find out what happens. So it's just kind of like up in the air. But yeah, they were playing such tight defense that I started getting upset.
Final game? Is that the one?
Yeah.
That's up? Oh, okay. Right. Yeah.
Excuse me. And he screamed. He was like, one of the coordinator ladies was like, like, Will, shoot the ball. He just screams, they're playing defense. Man, he starts screaming. It was terrible.
Yeah.
I was injured most of the movie, so I was on the bench chilling. So I was.
How'd you get injured?
He was injured.
I got injured. Well, for the audition process, I faked an injury. I act like I messed up. I went to the 99 cent store, got some hand wraps. So I was like, hey, guys, if I shoot and it's terrible, it's because of my hand, but that was messed up. And then Karma came and got me because I actually did get injured because when we were playing the 5-on-5, they eventually cleared everybody out, and they had people play one-on-one in front of everybody in the gym. And they put me up against Da Vinci, who's like 6'4", and he's
the really
dunking.
good guy in the movie.
Yeah,
you know?
and like he wanted the part, and like he gave me the ball. I like passed it to him, and he like shucked it real hard, and I was like, oh man, this is about to be terrible. And I got the ball. I'm not a basketball player, but I play football, so I'm like athletic. So I faked him and sprinted to the rim, and I jumped up in the air and he like bumped into me, and I like rolled my ankle, and I was like on a wheelchair.
He ended the scrimmage in a wheelchair and still got
And I was
the part.
about to cry because the lady told me, she was
Of
like,
course you got the part.
Yeah.
If you were auditioning and I was making this movie, you wouldn't even have to perform. If you just did this, I'd be like, yeah, that's
the
part.
kid.
He's
No.
got the
The
role.
lady told us, she said, like, if you get hurt, you're done because we
Yeah.
can't. How can we use you for basketball stuff if you can't run? So I was so like, I in my head, I love Da Vinci now, but afterwards when they was like, there's a possibility that you won't be in this movie, I'm like, I might have to get this dude after the practice. You got me injured. So I'm like, I was this close from doing a movie, and like, Gavin didn't care. He called me. He's like, I know you hurt, but I still want to use you. So he's like, we'll send you to rehab and stuff.
Well, outside of playing basketball, what were your auditions like for the movie, Brandon?
I found out about this when I was traveling a little bit, and so I found out about a self-tape, and I just kind of pushed it to the side and didn't respond. And then I got back like 2 months later, I think, and then
Traveling for yourself, like just sort of traveling around?
yeah.
Where were you traveling?
I was in I went to the Fringe Festival in Scotland.
Okay.
Yeah.
Were you performing?
No.
Just going?
Yeah.
Cool.
So I was out there, and then when I got back, I had gotten an email about coming in for the role. So I went in, and it was real smooth. Wendy O'Brien's amazing, the casting director. And then I think 2 weeks later, I got an email to do like a basketball tape. So I did that, sent it off, and then 2 weeks after that, there was the director session with Gavin. And I think that's the moment that I knew that like I actually liked this, or I was confident about the project now. Because meeting Gavin, just seeing that I just felt like I could trust him, and it wasn't going to be like done like a cliche sports movie or anything like that.
Did you know which role you were going out for at that point, or was it
Yeah.
just like for? Oh, okay.
Yeah. I was auditioning for the Brandon role, and it felt pretty parallel at the time. So it was a fairly natural audition process.
What was it about Gavin in that audition process that made you feel like he was going to tell the story in a different way?
There's just like a presence about him. He's very genuine and just very warm, and nothing about him feels like false or feels like he's putting on anything in order to show you or sell you on any sort of idea. It just felt very, genuine right off the bat. So there was like, I don't know, you just feel that, and it's like, all right, I'm in good hands.
Well, what about you? What about your audition process outside of the script?
Yeah.
reading?
Well, I had found out about this role at the beginning of the summer, and I remember like inquiring about it, and I didn't get an audition. And so then like 2 months go by, and my manager called me and was like, hey, so I have this I have this audition for you in this Ben Affleck movie. And I was like, I remember seeing that role like 2 months ago, and they still hadn't cast it. So I went in. It was the first time I'd ever gone in for Wendy, and I like messed up. Like I remember just like blanking on the lines when I walked in. I was like,
Me too.
This is such a huge casting director. I just blew it. I'm never going to come back in this office ever again. But she was like, no, we're going to do this 100 times. You're going to get it. I was like, okay. And so I did it, and then I left the audition, and my manager called me and said that Warner Brothers wanted to see a video of me playing on a court. So I went straight to a court. I went home, put on shoes, went straight to a court.
Do you play
made
basketball?
a video. Not in real life. No, I mean I can
You
play
can,
a little.
but, like, yeah, okay.
I was a baseball player growing up.
you can't.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, not really. And so I sent that video, had the director's session on Monday, loved Gavin, had the scrimmage the next day, and then.
So it's really quick. I mean, outside
Super
of
quick.
hearing about it 2 months prior,
Oh,
it
it was
ended
like
up being like
all
a
happened in
week.
like 5 days. Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah. For me.
Just, what about you?
When I first heard about the audition, I was on my couch eating hot wings, and I was watching The Accountant. That's the funniest part. I was eating hot wings. I was like, and I got a call from my manager, and
Again, it's like you're in. Like,
it's like everything.
already have the role.
I feel like I fit it perfectly. I was eating hot wings, and I got called, and they was like, "You have an audition." I was like, "Cool." And they said, it's for Ben Affleck. I said, cool. I got excited. And then it was like,
You're like, I'm gonna yell at him on the first day.
I'm going to yell at him on the first day. And it was like, you're playing Chubbs. I was like, oh, okay, cool.
Wasn't it your like third audition ever?
I went on, like two auditions, the third one I booked this. So that was kind of crazy. And then, they said, then they told me I had to play basketball. I was like, yeah, I don't. You felt that I didn't. I was like, oh, if I'm playing basketball, it's a wrap. But my manager lied to them, and he was telling them like, she was like, yeah, he's cold, and, he was starting varsity point guard, and he was averaging 17, 10, and 4, and I was like, wow, okay. So
Your manager knows a lot about
yeah,
basketball.
she lied because they were saying if you don't know how to play basketball, don't bring him in. So I was like, my goal is if I can at least kill the audition, maybe the basketball part won't be such a big deal. And I remember like I left my script and Wendy O'Brien called me like she was like Charles, where's Charles? And I was like, oh they had a dog in the lobby. So that was weird. And he was like, we would throw the rope and he'll keep coming back even if you don't want to throw it anymore. So I was doing that while she was calling me. Everything didn't go well. And so then she was like, yeah, we're going to play this in the locker room. You guys are joking. And I'm like, I know I play football. I play basketball. I know how a locker room works. And then she was like, I started cursing like loud. Like some of the dudes on the team, they was like, yo, we heard you in the other room. I was just swearing so loud. And she was like kind of scared. And I stopped in the middle of the audition. I just stopped and stared at her like this. And then she was just like, what are you doing? I'm like, oh, like, you like the cursing? She was like, yes, go. Everything just didn't go right. And then I got a call. And I was like, you have a call back? I was like, oh, really? Oh, well, thank you.
That's the end of the story?
Oh, then I did the basketball video. I forgot. I did the basketball video. And
I both put the same song over.
The same
over
song
on
we were
top.
playing,
that's like,
basketball. But
we
like,
both put that over our video.
I knew I sucked, so I'm like, if this is gonna suck, at least try to be funny in the video.
But how bad do you suck? Can you dribble? Like, can you?
I got a handle. I can't shoot. Like, he got a video of me airballing layups. Like, seriously, it's bad. And so it took me, like, that video was only 30 seconds, but it took me like an hour and a half to make it because I couldn't make a jump shot. And my dad filmed it, and he was hot. He was like, come on, bro, you can't make one for the video. And I was like, and then I just threw one up, not even trying, and it went in, and everybody in the room celebrated. And then finally we got it on tape. And then I got called in with Gavin, and Gavin I don't know why I get scared of these people when I meet them. Like, I was scared of Gavin because he's just so tall and big. And he was like, yeah, come in the room. And I was like, oh, okay. And before we even did the audition, he sat like 5 minutes and like had a whole conversation with me about stuff that had nothing to do with acting. He was like, where you from? Where you live? And I was like, this is a weird start to whatever's going on in here. And then they were saying like you can improv this whole thing, and that's.
Put this down.
And yeah, man, I ended up, and he stood up, and I'm thinking he's gonna say, you booked the role. So I'm like looking at his lips like, come on, say it. He's like, we like you. And I'm like, and he's like, but we want to see you tomorrow at the training thing. And I'm like, and that's when I met these dudes. Oh man. So that's what happened.
That's good. That's good. Let's get some questions from the audience. The first one's from Missy.
Oh, hey, that's me. So you said that it's for Brandon. You said that you were kind of parallel with your character at the time. What was it like getting into that character?
I was kind of parallel with him at the time. So, like, I didn't really have to do much, like, I don't know, I didn't have to do much work, is what I mean by that. Like, I had, like, a lot of internal things going on that kind of had my self-esteem at kind of a low point. Not the entire time, but so that was something that I could easily go to for this character, and just it kind of fell in pretty easily.
Did you have basketball skills going into it?
Yeah, and that was easy too, because I do have a foundation going into it. I've been playing basketball my whole life. I've done like summer camps and stuff. I've never done any organized basketball, but I definitely had a foundation going into it.
No, he's good.
Yeah, he's really good. That's what, yeah.
Thanks.
Next question is from Josh. Hey.
Hey guys. So towards the end of the trailer, there's that scene where Ben Affleck's character is getting kind of emotional as he's giving the team a pep talk. It seems like that might be a really powerful moment in the movie. So we were just wondering what filming that scene was like for you guys as the team.
Yeah, I remember that was kind of the climax of the emotional journey for his character. And I remember in that moment, he was doing it, and I think a couple people were like goofing off in between takes, and I remember him just like, snapping us back into
He
focus.
hit me.
Yeah.
I was laughing during the take.
He snapped us. I didn't get hit, but he snapped us back into focus and was like, "This is serious. Like this is a serious moment in the film," and I think it really shows. I remember that moment being so powerful.
Yeah, one of the things that I love about that moment too is, once again, a credit to Gavin. It cuts away before it becomes too long of a speech, or before it becomes too inspirational and less about him and less about the dynamics of the characters. It doesn't work too hard to show the audience what to feel.
Yeah, I think it could very easily slip into that like cliche, like motivational speech, that happens before like, I don't know, Mighty Ducks. No, I'm not knocking Mighty Ducks. I love that movie, but I think that sometimes it can slide into that cliche world, and he is really good at steering away from that.
Yeah. Well, guys, I love the film. Congratulations on it, and thank you so much for being here and talking to us about it. Charles, thank you so much for being here, man.
Thank you. No.
The film's called The Way Back. It comes out March 6th, right? In theaters everywhere.
Yep.
Everybody give Brandon, Will, and Charles a huge round of applause.